All right. Good afternoon, everyone. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Mike and Gina, for inviting me to speak to you a bit about what we are doing on campus at Notre Dame on artificial intelligence and data and computing. And I'm really excited to think about together and see where the potential intersections and collaborations go. I'm the Frank M. Freeman Professor of Computer Science and Engineering, the founding director of the Lucy Family Institute for Data and Society, and also the most recently launched strategic initiative on data, AI, and computing. I'll be leading that at Notre Dame as well. But that's not the best title for me. Recently, I became a Notre Dame parent. My son just started as a freshman at Notre Dame, Mendoza Finance, and intends to do real estate minor. So thank you. So finally, I've become cool for him. No other title mattered. I told him I'm speaking at this event today. He's like, "You rock." I'm like, "I haven't heard those words from you before." So for nothing else, so thanks for again. I owe you guys a gift. So as we think about data, AI, and computing and its intersection with real estate, first I'd also like to acknowledge the work the Lucy Family Institute has done with Fire, with Maddie and Gino on really thinking about the real estate footprint of the parishes globally, right? What is the what is available, what is not available, what is the optimal usage, what kind of resources could be applicable, what do communities need from that real estate that's even available from the parishes globally. And as we even think about real estate and AI now, arguably over COVID, we saw significant innovation in technology as we, with virtual assistants and everything else, we really didn't need to tour the places in person. Somehow we could purchase properties by doing virtual tour. But at the same time, with the innovations in data and AI that are emerging, there is an estimate of about $34 billion of efficiencies in real estate, whether it's from contractual processing, virtual monitoring, build outs. In the opening remarks, someone talked about affordable housing, even CAD drawings and modular housing could be designed and constructed using AI. So it's not just about so I was very pleased to hear about how AI has been integrated into real estate curriculum here, because that's how it's going to be, right? And as the initial wins will be in efficiencies, right? As we are consumers of these AI technologies within real estate, it will all be about efficiencies because a lot of contractual work is predictable, can be actualized. Because there are certain norms that need to be followed, certain rules that need to be followed about these. Some places would require some human creativity, but a lot of that, what is the core of real estate, the chores that you need to just get done, those would be automated and disrupted. So that sort of lends to like what is the other core aspect of real estate where that creativity, the human ingenuity would be coming into play. Whether it's new kinds of modular affordable housing, and where now with these AI tools, you can design, you can visualize these things and how those things can even be cost effective, so to speak, as we think about affordable housing. And then so as we launch this initiative at Notre Dame, we're really thinking about these partnerships that go across campus. As I said, the Data AI Computing Initiative is a provost office-led initiative, one of our strategic priorities for the next 5 to 10 years. And clearly with AI, we do not have 5 to 10 years. We have 2 to 5 years, right? Because the field's moving so quickly and so rapidly. Our pedagogical framework is shifting, and I was very, again, pleased to hear you all are integrating these things in the real estate curriculum. What skills and talents that we want the students to acquire during these 4 years or 2 years or 1 year if we are left with at Notre Dame. We also, within the initiative, we have just launched a task force on thinking through what is the curriculum with AI incorporated. Is there a core curriculum, 3-credit course that we can create that every student at Notre Dame can benefit from an awareness perspective? Are there opportunities for students to dig deeper into these things in terms of their vocation, in terms of their work, in terms of their classwork, as the curriculum allows it to? So the task force will be launching. We started this initiative 60 days ago. The task force launched last week. So it's breakneck academic speed. And it's not a task force that will wait for a year. By January, we will have recommendations on what kinds of undergraduate curricular recommendations we can make for the benefit of our students. Because as other speakers have said today, this is happening. And we have to keep our students at the forefront to think about what happens on day +1 after they graduate. If the posture we have is no, as in the university, we cannot allow you to use this, but then they go into the real world, hey, do you know how to use it? That's the first question that is asked. Now, computer science students are being asked to vibe code, which means that they're coding with Copilot for their job interviews. They want to see how efficient you are when you have an AI assistant. So these things are here. So that's a curricular thing. We're also really thinking about research as well, and infrastructure and resources, and research in a very uniquely Notre Dame way. Right? Every university on this planet has something in AI. Big investments happening. We don't have the capex of a Microsoft that just put $80 billion on data center and new ways of data centers, but there is research that needs to happen. There is deliberative, thoughtful process, responsible AI, purposeful AI that needs to happen. And Notre Dame has a very unique position in the world to get it right. We have to think about what is purposeful AI, how we are actually channeling our innovations, our inventions to make a positive impact on society. And this is where partnerships with programs like FIRE can lead us to translate our innovations to a beneficial impact on society. Because we have to do, as Notre Dame, what we aspire to be is the best global Catholic university. So we get there by not only innovating, but translating our innovations in advancement of common good. So that's where a lot of our research and infrastructure aspects of our resources and services dimensions of the initiative would go. The initiative would also try to unify several other centers or institutes target around AI or computing or data on campus, including the Lucy Family Institute, with the idea that we are unified in our approach to tackling these problems, where we work together in addressing these problems. So I'm really excited about this initiative that is launching. I'm excited about the dialogue that we'll continue to have on technology in real estate during the day and later. And with that, I'll invite Vince Cicciarelli to come up and his fellow panelists, James Blackwood, Tyler, and Adam, to have a dialogue with each other and see where it goes. And Vince, who will be moderating the panel, is the Vice President of Innovation and Venture at Lincoln Property and is a partner at LPC Ventures in Dallas, Texas. And he also graduated from the best place in the world, which is Notre Dame. So Vince, please.
Can everybody hear us? All right, cool. Well, it's really nice to be here. Mike kind of put us in a box there for just talking about AI, and I promise we're going to get to that. But to kick things off, I wanted to start with introductions with everyone up here on the panel to talk about who we are, where we've been, and what we're doing today, and then kind of lay the foundation for where we are with real estate and technology. It's an interesting intersection that we're at right now with the markets and with where things were, over the last 10 years. And I think that has really laid the scaffolding and the foundation for the future of technology and specifically AI in real estate. Just as an introduction for myself, this is kind of a funny full circle moment. So Pat, who is the fireside chat later on, him and I were roommates for 3 years at Notre Dame. Most people in this room do not know that. And then actually when I was finishing up grad school, I went and visited Pat in Portland, Oregon when he was with the Trailblazers. And when I was out there, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be in real estate. And as Mike alluded to, he had already started his endeavor there. And that kind of got me into the game, thinking about what I wanted to do. And by accident, I fell into an early stage startup in Portland, Oregon, which is what launched my career in venture. And since then, went from Portland to San Francisco and now Dallas, Texas, doing venture and running innovation and providing guidance on emerging technologies for Lincoln Property Company and a handful of other private real estate companies throughout the U.S. Just to kick things off, let's just go down the rail and I'll let James introduce himself and talk about where he's been and what he's up to now.
Thanks, Vince. My name's James. I'm an Aussie. I started a company with some friends. Well, they started the company and I basically forced them to hire me. We're called Giraffe Technology, and we're an integrated feasibility platform focused on development. So whether you're a strategic planner, urban planner, developer, someone looking for land, someone crunching land deals every day, or you're on the capital side, we likely have a solution for you. My personal story, I got into data and analytics early on in my career. And I think what happened was, as I was selling those solutions, I worked for a company called Tableau that got acquired by Salesforce for a lot of billions. And I got quite obsessed with the idea of how data was transforming enterprises. And then I had this friend who's an architect, brilliant architect in Sydney, and he was telling me all about his ideas to revolutionize real estate and the complexities. And real estate is, the primary way we experience the whole world. So he's a romantic kind of guy and swooped me up on his journey. And when they finally got a little bit of headwind, I said, hey, you got to hire me. And so we've been doing this for 5 years. We have customers all over the globe. We're a Bootstrap company. So we've done it all on sweat equity, basically. And Vince and I know each other because of Giraffe. So thank you for having me.
Hey guys, is this working? Yep, there we go. I'm Tyler, general partner and managing partner of Thayer Investment Partners. Thayer was spun out of Thayer Lodging Group, which was actually one of the first hotel private equity funds back in the 90s. And so our whole origin was hospitality technology. And if we can do it in a hotel, it's a very advanced building, so we can probably dumb it down for all other asset classes as well. And you'll see Derive up there. I founded our Derive family of funds within Thayer Investment Partners. And really that was meant to be, which we might talk about, we've seen PropTech get so heated over the years, but realistically, I thought there needed to be just a bridge between Silicon Valley and real estate and travel and technology, because there's just massive technology that's influencing all categories. And that was meant to invest later stage derivatives of technology. So that's what we do.
We're good. Hey everyone. Adam Siegel, co-founder, CEO of Cove. Thank you for having me. Vince, thanks for including me. Vince is an expert in the PropTech space, so it's a great privilege to be on stage here in front of you all. It's awesome to see so many students mixed in with professionals. And I say that because Cove came out of my own failures. I went and tried investment banking for a summer when I was in graduate school. I was really bad at it. I got back to school and I said, what is the furthest thing from investment banking? And I didn't really think about it. I was like, oh, entrepreneurship. It's like investment banking, you sit there, you're there till like 2 a.m. Entrepreneurship, you create your own schedule. It's like all about white space.
I never wanted to wear a suit again either. So.
Yeah, I would just sit, I'd turn to the next day, like, what am I doing here? I'd be like, shut up. So I got back and I wrote a business plan for Cove, which in its earliest days, 2013, was a co-working company. So we ended up building out 25 co-working locations up and down the East Coast. This was a similar time as like WeWork. They were successful, Cove wasn't. And it was built on a technology platform that allowed us to operate our business more efficiently, more effectively, and manage our members, right? The people that came through our doors. We were retail first floor. We started to understand and see the value of the technology applied to the built environment, to office buildings. There's really not a lot. It's a lot of point solutions, meaning individual pieces of technology that solve one problem. We saw it as how do you create more of a holistic solution. We started to do that work with owners. So we work with the owners and operators. And then the pandemic came. We had our first client on the technology side, and our physical spaces, that was it. We shut down everything. We retrenched, and we had a decision point. Do we continue as a business, or do we kind of chase this notion of technology and building a platform for office? We made the decision to go for it. My co-founder is really a lot smarter than me, fortunately. We've been really fortunate. We now power maybe 3,500 buildings across the U.S. Really the technology stack for operations and the tenant experience, unique components, it's all consolidated into one solution. So typically we'll replace 3 or 4 solutions. We really just want to make operations simpler, easier. We've on that journey, and I think we're going to talk about it a little bit, but had the good fortune, some of our biggest clients became investors. And that's really helped create a better product, not only for ourselves, but the broader market. And real estate is, from a technology perspective, not huge, although as an asset class, it's obviously massive. But from a technology perspective, it's more of a blip on the radar. So you really need that interplay between kind of the client and the technology provider. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point to stick on what Adam just touched on there. Technology and real estate operations, investing in the industry as a whole, it is a blip on the balance sheet. It's a couple percentage points at most for the P&L for any given asset. And in order to see success, you have to partner with those that are willing to take chances on you, which that's where I want to lay the foundation for where we are in the industry today. So if you think about technology in real estate, I would argue the digital transformation began in the 70s when MRI popped up. Yardi was followed there shortly after. CoStar came in the 80s. I believe, Angus, Argus, the ones that we all know today, RealPage was in the 90s. All of these digital solutions that came into the accounting and operations space started decades ago. And truth be told, a lot of them haven't innovated a ton since. They've gone out and bought some pretty interesting companies, but a lot of the time it's used as an off-the-shelf solution that their client base can just absorb, kind of like the Microsoft business model, where it's a freemium model, just take it and use it. It's okay, it will be good enough, but it's never going to truly be something that they're going to invest all their R&D into to keep iterating and building. So when I was thinking with Gino on who we should bring to this panel, I was thinking about all these different perspectives. So my background is really corporate venture and living inside real estate services companies and developers, with JLL and Lincoln Property Company being the main two. I had to think about the industry, and with where we're at today, if you talk to a lot of real estate owners and operators, they might have sour taste in their mouth about technology, because in the last 10 years, there's been a ton of money poured into the startup world for the built environment, and there hasn't been a lot of successes. So when I was thinking through, I wanted to find a founder that's gone through all of it, which is Adam up here. He most recently, I think a couple months ago, announced a pretty significant growth equity investment from a private equity firm out of New York City. I wanted to think about who is one of the best true investors in the space, and I think their investment partners, being more of a generalist PropTech or built environment investor that works with a lot of real estate companies as LPs, but it does not sit inside them, brings a really unique perspective. And then James is up here more as a generalist in the data science and visualization space, and then joining and helping build Giraffe as a bootstrap startup gives you all the different perspectives of where we're at today and the different types of avenues you can take to apply technology to real estate. So then to set the stage, up until 2015, the amount of private capital that was invested into the PropTech market never eclipsed $1 billion. In 2015, that was the first time it happened. By 2021, I believe that was the peak of the market, $32 billion was invested into PropTech in that year alone. Then the market turned, the spouts shut off. And in 2022, I want to say that number dipped to around 10 billion. 2023 was similar numbers. And then 2024, we're starting to see an uptick in private capital invested into the PropTech or built environment space. So that is where we kind of sit today coming out of that. And to kick things off, I want Adam to give a look into what the market looked like back in the 2010s, when I think the first wave of PropTech really started, which is all the names that we all know today: VTS, WeWork, Open Door, Latch, the ones that have made big splashes and are kind of floundering around, but never really saw that uptick or that venture-like return that people had expected would come about. So Adam, can you kind of lay the ground for why you got into venture when no one was in, or why you got into PropTech when no one was investing in it?
Yeah, probably not a good idea. But I didn't know that at the time. I think, it wasn't like a category, as you're saying, right? So what box did you fit in when you were going to raise capital? And for me, it was finding more like-minded investors that had invested in like-minded ideas, maybe not in PropTech. So for us, it was the first investor seed funders of Zipcar. Our concept was more like if those Zipcar doesn't really exist anymore, but it was kind of like you'd rent a car for an hour, you had an app, you can unlock the door. We had a similar model for office, and so that aligned with them. But I think they didn't, like, real estate is hard. A lot of folks, like when you have a mixed model like we did, which was co-working, we also had technology, but it's hard. You can't really underwrite like assets in a venture model with venture-like returns. And so I think when you see money going into it, especially like WeWork obviously raised a significant amount of capital with like a mixed model as well, but the underlying real estate always got in the way, right? And so it hadn't kind of broken out, and the market hadn't understood from my perspective, what type of investment a co-working operator versus a SaaS business. And it was really challenging in the early days to raise. Our Series A came up from a family office, so that invested in more in like retail businesses. So it was definitely more idiosyncratic, and you're kind of boxing yourself in, not necessarily the market boxing you in.
Yeah. No, and when was the light bulb moment that occurred where, obviously the world shut down with COVID, but when did you realize that technology was the avenue to pursue rather than an operational business model?
It's a lot easier to scale. I'll tell you that much. It was kind of the real time feedback you could get. We would build out in a location, a physical location. It would take like a year, right? And then you'd open it up and you'd be like, how long does it take for it to fill? What do you tech? You were building in real time, and you can get that feedback. And we were just like better at that, right? We were better designed to iterate, to evolve, and we saw really good success. And you can expand from one building to another, to another. And so we started to expand, and the product was getting referred to other people. We didn't have, like, I was the sales team, and we were probably at that point, maybe 15, 20 people. We maybe have 60 people now. But it was the moment of where our clients were expanding us, and that then they were referring us to other owners, which you typically think is more competitive. So I think for me, that was a light bulb moment of like, oh, wow, we can do this. Now, how do you do it at scale? That's a little bit different challenge. A great progression on that for us was finding an awesome, large design partner. We started to work with the EQ office, so Blackstone's office portfolio, and they wanted this kind of consolidated solution, right? And we were mapping against that vision, and it didn't exist in the market, and they were willing to take that journey with us. And hopefully it paid off for them. It paid off in terms of how our business evolved. They ended up becoming an investor after the fact and joining our board. But that was like very helpful from our progression of we see good success starting. We're starting to scale. We get an investor and a partner to help realize that scale from actual like the product, and then we're kind of off from there.
Yeah. And one thing you said there really, I think, will resonate with the other two people up here. So you said the key to some of your growth was finding the right design partner. And then earlier you just talked about finding the right groups that you could work with that would lead you the direction you needed to go to build a solution for the industry. I think, James, you're a perfect example of that, being bootstrapped, small team. I think you're sub 10 people, maybe just past that, but it's a small organization working with some really big firms. They're one of Lincoln's only construction technology solutions that we've adopted across the board. And I'd love for you to maybe talk about why did you jump from Tableau into the PropTech industry? What did you see there? And then taking maybe some of your learnings from Tableau and partnering with the real estate industry groups that you guys are working with today. What are the lessons learned and the ways forward to continue building and finding the right paths to go down as you scale the company?
Yeah, there's a lot there. I will say, just on the digital transformation thread, one of the reasons I think this is well understood, real estate is slow to digitally transform, or has been slow to digitally transform, is because the whole game really is about risk management. You, as a developer, you're pushing risk out to all of your consultants, and you're trying to keep that capital safe. So naturally, technology is high risk. It's like the 1 in 100 moonshot. That's what the venture guys are looking for. And, well, maybe not 1 in 100, but it's a more risk-prone exercise. So when you go to sell to a real estate developer, like we've been doing for 5 years, you get, you do your initial demo and you get these like, holy heck, that's amazing. Can we invest? And we'd be like, no, can you just buy the damn software, please? We would love you to become a user. And that whole back and forth, I think, was our first 2 years, really. And we found some great pilot customers who were saying, hey, we're wanting to do things differently because we can see what's going to happen here. We can see the digital tooling is going to finally take over. And then what we didn't see happening, and I don't think many people did, is just the explosion of the AI revolution, which is truly wild. So maybe one little comment I'll make is that we started our company thinking we want to be a central point between different point solutions, kind of like Adam was saying. And it was a very difficult concept to explain to people. What our tool actually does is you can go on a map like Google Earth, you can draw a building and you can underwrite it in 5 minutes, right? It's pretty awesome. But demoing that to people, there's still that change, that risk management thing. With the wave of the LLMs, what we've been able to do is now transform our offering where it learns from the client. And the whole way that we partner with our clients now is saying, hey, we understand that you're risk averse. And the journey here is not, is the technology going to change the world? Because of course it is. The journey is, how do we move your company from not being digital to being somewhat digital to being very digital to being truly AI ready, which is it's here, but most people aren't using it. So what our company became, because we were bootstrapped, is really more of a partnership style model where we say, hey, we have some technology. The technology is awesome, but what you really need is our team to help you move from here to here. And the result is we work with 4 of the 5 biggest real estate developers in the US. We have customers in the UK who are building their whole businesses on our model. We have extremely large government clients in Australia that are planning cities differently with technology. And there's not that much AI in it. It's a lot of AI, not AI. But it's coming. And the foundation is right there, ready to rock. So I could talk for hours about this. You better ask another question.
No, that's fantastic. So I wanted to kind of set the stage there with these 2 founders to talk about their journeys and how they got to where they are. But the other side of the coin is putting the money into these companies, giving them the fuel to grow and to scale. And clients can lead that, or investors. And I want Tyler to kind of touch on when he jumped into PropTech in the 2010s, 2015 timeframe. There was a lot of pretenders. So you heard the amount of money that's been invested into the vertical. There's not been a ton of winners. So where we're at today, we can touch on where we might be heading with AI and the focus on data aggregation and structuring and all of that. But Tyler, when you look at investing into companies, how are you paying attention to what the founders are doing versus the market that they're addressing versus the potential client base that they could capture? Like, how do you look at that, and how do you work with some of your LPs to understand that a little bit more, to get comfortable and adopt the solutions you're investing in?
Yeah, I mean, the best wins in technology specifically is when entrepreneurs are solving a real problem. And I think over the last 15 years, entrepreneurs created problems to solve, and those were not real problems that existed. It almost became a job to become an entrepreneur, because there's so much technology money out there and just venture capital. And so, many of our LPs are, Lincoln Property Company, thank you, Vince, Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, all of the big real estate, the REITs, the owners. And so it is really working with them to understand what their problems actually are, and then, finding the entrepreneurs that are passionate about that problem and, come from a background in a perfect world who felt that problem, not, didn't see it and said, let's go solve it, but felt it. So that's really, and our biggest successes have been just that. The biggest being property management systems for hotels. Everyone hated Oracle, and you see it all over the place. And Oracle is old and flexible, and you just couldn't work with it. And so then we found a team that was building with cloud, and then now we have AI. And so there's these waves and evolutions, and it's been fun to be a part of.
Yeah, one thing you just touched on there is the Oracles of the world. So when I talk to a lot of real estate owners and operators, the natural path they want to go down is the Salesforces, the Oracles, the SAPs, the Yardis, the ones that we all know and have heard of for decades. And I'm very cautious with a lot of groups, because unless you're, a massive, publicly traded or, multi-billion AUM type shop, you may not want to put the capital up to actually partner with those groups. It's going to require implementation partners that are going to require significant customizations for your accounting solutions and other operational systems. And it's going to cost tens of millions of dollars over just the implementation side of that process. So when you look at builders like James and Adam and what they're doing, one thing I wanted to bring to the table was kind of the full life cycle. So the agility, the flexibility, and the roadmap of the platforms are what we really have to pay attention to. And I think with James and the site feasibility, the development analysis tool that they've built, one thing that came to my attention, through getting to know the platform, is where we could take that outside of just, the deal sourcing and underwriting phase. And I wanted you to maybe speak to, the thought behind being able to customize the software for portfolio and asset management and things of that sort.
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think we're at an existential time for software builders. I don't know if you guys agree this, but I am not a software developer, and I have been augmenting our platform with the LLMs. We have one of the things we did, just from a bit of technical point of view, we built an SDK which gives people the ability to build stuff on top of our platform. And I guess our revelation was, if it's so easy to build software, then why are we making our customers bend themselves around our software? Why shouldn't we make our software wrap itself around the way these businesses work? So the way we sell now, like I was saying, is more of a partnership, and we build bespoke software for our customers with our sales team. So it's wild. Like, people who have never written a line of code before are using the AI tools in order to make something generic very, very specific, because that thing you have to do where you onboard at a new company and you have to learn the way the CRM works and you spend 2 days in a mind-numbing training, that whole thing should be gone. You should have one button that does the exact thing that you want. And then even more sort of existential, I think, for software builders is, if that's the case, then why is every company not building their own software? And you should challenge every one of your software vendors with that question. Why? It's cheaper for me to hire one guy, buy an LLM, and build your software than it is for me to spend $1 million on a CRM. Why wouldn't I do that? And that, for software, I think, is truly existential. So the software has to do something more significant than just be a form on a database, which a lot of software has been over the years. And that what we believe that more significant thing is if you hear Alex Karp talk about it from Palantir, he talks about an ontological layer that describes your business that the AI can learn from, or to use a different kind of analogy, an MCP of your own business, model context protocol. What does my business shape look and do? What is my investment thesis? What kind of sites do we like? Why do we like those sites? How do we underwrite our deals? How do we build our deals? What sets us apart from the next, multifamily guy? And if the AI understands that, then you can set it loose to go and do all sorts of things, to go and find more sites for you, to underwrite sites, to design buildings. Those things all exist. What is needed is that layer that describes your business out to those tools. And that's what we're building, and we're really excited about it. And we think the crucible is the feasibility, like the deal, the mechanics of the deal, because that's where all the data comes together. That's where the rents from Hello Data come in, the sites from Regrid, the zoning from Zonomics. It's a really interesting time because there's data coming out of our ears and there's solutions coming out of our ears. And but what understands your business? That would be sort of my challenge. And if you have that as a digital explanation within your firm, you'll be in a very good position. And if you're a student, you should absolutely be vibe coding, 100%. It's the greatest thing on the planet. It feels like magic.
I think you're spot on. So I think you really set the stage there for the conversation around data and AI. So the future of AI revolves around data, and you're talking about capturing the data from the site, site identification through underwriting, through getting the deal locked up and done, and then you got to pass it over to Adam, who's built, I think, one of the best-in-class building operations systems in the industry. And the thing that I would point to that James just said is he kind of hinted at, you're not going to need as many people to do the front of the work to find the deals and get the deals done. I think one thing that the industry has faced is that a lot of people are facing kind of a job crisis of, if we adopt these tools, will we have jobs in 5 years? And I want maybe Adam and Tyler to talk about how they look at that and what they're thinking through. Adam building the premier building operations platform and partnering with the on-site property managers, the building engineers, and the people that take care of the day-to-day operations, and then Tyler thinking through when he's investing into companies trying to do such a large platform play, where are the natural bolt-on and inorganic growth opportunities?
Yeah, no, thanks, Vince. I think it's a great question. I mean, as James hit on, I mean, the implications of AI and how it can be leveraged in our day-to-day, and it goes down two paths. And Vince, you hit at one is kind of the co-pilot, right? How does it make us more efficient, right? That's a very kind of tangible. How does it augment and enhance our behaviors? But also, when you take that to, if you're so efficient, then it reduces the number of need for that number of people, right? So it's a byproduct. And in real estate, operations are very much people driven, right? We support Willis Tower, the biggest commercial building in the world, formerly Sears Tower, for those remembered as that, but it's about 4 million square feet. There's 100 people on site, right? It's incredible what goes into it, and why there's 100 elevators in this asset, right? It's its own city. I think it literally has like 6 zip codes. But when you think about kind of that, that's like a very large example in one place. what we think about is now take that and spread it across, more of a standard building, 200,000 square feet. So let's say our typical owner has maybe, 20 buildings or 40 buildings. That's where those efficiencies are really going to happen, because suddenly you can have this agentic, more of an approvable workflow, as opposed to why do I use an interface because I have to find what I need to do? Well, if you use prompts and approvals, now you're suddenly becoming more efficient. And so our general progression, where we see it, and a key point though, honestly, is you got to follow the pace of the market. You can't push the market too fast, otherwise the market's not ready, right? So we can only go as fast as our clients are willing to adopt, but it's incumbent upon us to work with them to progressively adopt. And I think, James, you said that in terms of like laying the groundwork, like that's what we're doing a lot of the time, right? You can't just deploy. We could be doing some really cool things, and we are, but we can only do as cool as kind of the market will let us. But anyhow, I think like the full progression, as you know, in like 5 years, is more of a centralization, right? The notion of you may have all of these assets, you have a portfolio, you realize leverage when you're able to centralize a lot of those tasks. And then the people that are physically on site that we would more traditionally know today are really experts in what they do, right? The engineer who's fixing, the HVAC system, the property manager who's engaging with the tenant, right? Those are things that can only be done there, and everything else that they do in the back office or, more of in the workflows of today, we can centralize that. And so everyone gets a better experience, and it does, as a byproduct, reduce the overall cost structure.
Do you remember what I asked you?
I mean, there's a lot to comment on, but ask again.
So you running one of the premier, I would say, built environment investment platforms today, I'm sure if we were having this conversation 4 years ago, we would have titled it Future of Blockchain in Real Estate. We're not talking about that anymore. I'm not saying it's going away. There's a place for that, but there are a lot of buzzwords that get created, and AI is the one that everyone is talking about. That's why I vehemently did not want this to be titled, AI in real estate, because I don't think we're there yet. So when you're talking to founders and all you hear is AI, or you're getting AI pitched to you left and right, how do you actually identify where you should take bets and guide them into your LP base to scale?
Yeah, well, to start, get a couple beers in me, and we can go real Black Mirror, because it is terrifying. And I say that like we just made an investment in a company that, like, I mean, went from 0 to $95 million in ARR in 4 months. Like, it is crazy. That said, who knows if it'll be around in 6 months? That's the name of the game. But honestly, really what is so fantastic about real estate and hospitality is, I mean, I chose this field specifically because I think we are the hedge to AI. And like, that is what is really great. Like, my wife does acquisitions for Rockpoint Group, big private equity firm. And you want to terrify all those analysts, associates, VPs. You show them the AI agent that is doing secret shopping and calling all of the, local multifamily folks asking for, what's your pet fee per month? I mean, that just wiped, that's crazy. And, you see the president using AI for his, videos now. It's, so there's a Black Mirror element of it. The great thing is real estate, anything that you can touch, getting people on site building. And I think that we say data so much, and data, like, no one really, like, I think to simplify that for students and how to prepare for AI and everything else, it is important to know what data is, but try to understand it in your own way, right? Like, data is simply like, what are the things that you do? What are the workflows that you do every single day? How many emails do you send? What are in those emails? Like, and then you can take that and, to what everyone has said here, like, using those workflows, that's data that can inform your decisions and help you make better, faster decisions quicker. I personally don't think that everyone needs to be coding, because, that's the age-old case study in business: buy versus build for a big corporation. Should we build it ourselves? Should we outsource it? And really, another one of my existential scary thoughts is, 50% of what we do is hospitality tech investing. And if we cannot build the perfectly run hotel in 10 years with all the technology that's out there, like, I haven't done my job right. And if I do my job right, there's nothing else to invest in. So it's like this weird catch-22. So yeah, there's some things.
Well, I think there's a good thought there, which is if we get super efficient, like what's the end goal? What does the premium become on? And I agree. Like real estate is a physical asset, and like I was saying before, it's the primary way we experience the world. I don't want a computer designing the cities that I live in. I would like to have a human being thinking about that, and somebody with a soul creatively designing the world. So I think the hedge is correct, and the premium then becomes on creativity, relationships, trust, all the things that human beings are really good at. And I've loved the opening remarks about affordable housing, like dealing with social issues, how we do those incredibly well. Church land to build housing. I think those are all relationship problems. All the best acquisitions people out there are doing it via relationships and the data and the AI. So I think you're right. The hedge is the human being, actually, and the real estate is a great place to be.
I know we started late, so I don't want to keep running this too long, but I do want to kind of pose a question to everyone up here and get their take on it. I mean, a couple takeaways I've heard up here and I've thought for a while is, you can look at the big software providers that everyone uses for ERP, accounting, different things of that sort. You can customize databases or data aggregation within there and use that for what Tyler said. You need to understand your workflows, the things you do every day to run your business, to source new deals, underwrite them, operate it, sell it, whatever it might be, the way you make money, manage it. I think the one point that I've driven home with a lot of clients I've worked with over the past few years is that the future of AI is not partnering with the generalist software companies that we all know. They all are going to have their own AI applications, but they're going a mile wide and an inch deep. Real estate, you must go deep in the specific vertical or asset class that you live in. And I think when people are resistant to adopt these technologies, maybe Adam, you can touch on this, it's a combination of they just don't understand it, or it doesn't quite do what they need it to do yet, or maybe it's an existential threat of, I might not have a job in 5 years if I use this solution. But what I would recommend for everyone out here that wants to get into technology, into PropTech, or wants to run a real estate portfolio and buy and sell assets is think about ways that you could lean into early stage technology startups, because both of the founders up here that we talked to today talked about design partners and letting their clients lead their product build. Instead of you adopting a software, bringing in a software engineer or contracting a big consulting firm to build a solution that you're going to have to update every year and spend millions of dollars on, why don't you go find a company like one of these guys started, use other people's money that's been invested and tailor it to your solution. And then they'll learn more. They'll be able to iterate and further the industry for PropTech, and that will open up the doors for what AI truly can do, which is bring efficiencies and help teams operate in a much more lean manner and do more things that are more critical to the human side of the business. And I want to just open it up for the last question. If we were to look forward 5 years, where are we with AI and real estate in this industry? Maybe, Tyler, you start that and open it up to the two founders after.
Where are we?
Giant laser beam. We're all going to be human consciousness uploaded.
Shoot, I mean, it could be. No, I think it'll be a little bit more of the same. It takes time, right? It's going to take us 20 years before everything is, like my last comment on it, before I do such a good job that I don't have a job anymore, right? It's going to take time. And I think that we're starting to see some of the holes in, the AI hype and the bubble that is, right? Like, we can only build data centers so fast, and we can't keep building them as fast as we can. So, I mean, 5-10 years from now, like, I think it's going to just get more efficient. I would say just stick to what you know.
What about you, Adam?
Yeah, I think honestly the AI is so, or like the output of AI, which we talked about, is kind of gathering all of these data points, everything that's happening, and then being able to interpret it on kind of your behalf or on our behalf. I think it's going to really make technology ultimately a lot more easy to engage with, right? It's going to be always there, listening, kind of responding and prompting, versus now, and we see this challenge, it gets in the way, right? People are like, oh, I have to learn another thing. I have to do another right. And so us as a software provider, we're always working like, no, actually, this is going to make you more efficient. It's replacing a behavior so people can ultimately get it. I think from an artificial intelligence as it relates to real estate and how it's just going to become more ubiquitous because it's going to be so much more obvious and easier to adopt, right? Like if you haven't adopted Chat GPT or not to promote them, or like a similar model, it's just like Google but like better, right? It's like great. Of course I should be using it. It gives me like 15 sources and it clicks and it summarizes. Like it's going to be the same progression for everything we think about, the experiences we have in real estate, the needs, the wants you have in your multifamily, the property maintenance, all of these things that kind of just get in the way. They will be just solved in a far more natural progression and natural flow.
I think I have no idea what it's going to look like in 5 years, but if we've done our job, I think, which I like that perspective, is the people who plan, design, invest in, and build our cities will be able to collaborate better, and all the boring stuff, all the stuff that makes your mind bleed, will be automated. And our cities will not have those problems that they have from those people not talking together. And so, maybe and philosophically, positively, I think we could be living in nirvana in 5 years.
I asked that question on purpose, so we'll wrap it up here. But as you can see, we have three of who I think are the best experts in the industry for PropTech and the built environment. And they have no clue what it's going to be in 5 years. So I don't either. That's why I didn't want to answer it. But the one thing I want to end with, and I think we all have touched on it to differing degrees here, is when I talk to these groups about partnering with a big, Fortune 50 software provider, or in customizing a solution for their need, building out their own engineering team, in developing solutions in-house, or partnering with people like the folks up here today, Adam for building operations, James for site feasibility and deal sourcing, and then just Tyler for overall exposure to the industry and understanding where others also might be spending their time. The one thing that's the most important is AI is only as good as the data you feed it. And what I think will happen over the next few years, it's already becoming commonplace. We talk about the big LLMs that exist. All of that is public. Everyone has access to that. So the only thing that matters is really, what do you do and how do you do it? And don't tell anyone else that, and leverage that to guide your agentic workflows to be more efficient, do more things, scale your business, and lean into these founders who are hungry and eager to partner with you and literally build whatever you want them to build in the early days. And now you have a leading edge into adopting technology that others don't, and you're going to have a moat because you're going to have a learning curve that others have to catch up to. And I think that's really where we are in the industry. I mean, tons of capital has come into the space over the last 10 years. And candidly, there hasn't been a ton of success. And I think it's more industry behaviors than lack of good technology, because the money was green, the technology and the people were smart. They just didn't understand the industry, and they need the industry to partner with them to really scale and build platform offerings that unseat the competitors that they're all up against that were started in the 70s and 80s that haven't iterated since. So maybe that's where we'll leave you with the state of technology and AI in real estate.